And welcome back to another episode of the Succeed Against the Odds show. My guest today is Tania Vasallo. Welcome, Tania.
Thank you, Francesca. I'm so excited to be here and see what comes out of our conversation.
Yes, there's so much that I want to talk to you about. And as we were talking about this before we started the recording, we may end up doing 2 episodes because our topics are very different from each other, but they're so important, especially one of them very important for women. I don't think men would be too interested in one of the 2 topics, but maybe they should be aware of things that happen to women so that they could be more understanding. So, Tania, before we get into what we are going to be talking about today, can you just share with our audience what it is that you do? What is your area of expertise?
Oh, thank you, Francesca. Yeah, my business is called The Courage to Be Happy, and it's transitioning into The Courage to Be. So you can find me at thecouragetobehappy.com and soon thecouragetobee.com. And what I do is I work with women, entrepreneurs, course creators, service providers, coaches, and helping them get to the next level in business. Maybe they've hit a plateau or something and do it in a way where they're not burning out along the way. And my emphasis is mostly on money mindset. I've become fascinated with our relationship with money, especially as women. I know men deal with this too, and we all have our own money beliefs, but yeah, so I focus on business strategy with money mindset component of it.
Okay, now I never asked you this, even though we've talked before. What inspired you to get into this area?
It's funny. If you would have told me 5, 6 years ago that I'd be teaching business strategy or talking about money, I would have not believed you, because growing up in a patriarchal country, born and raised in Spain, in a very patriarchal family, because my dad's 7 brothers and 1 sister. And my beginning of my career was as an art director in advertising. So I was a creative. I did not, business and money were not on my agenda. But after running a studio with my husband for about 5, 6, 7 years, maybe even, where we 2 art directors trying to run a business without any business training whatsoever, we were a lot of that feast and famine roller coaster. And it wasn't until he decided he didn't want to do it anymore, and which was good for me. But it also put me in this position of, well, what do I do now? As a multi-passionate person, and you can relate to this, like I've worked as a professional photographer, as an art director. I have my life coaching certification. I have every degree and certification in the self-development world. I didn't know what to do. And that's when I launched The Courage to Be Happy. And I could only work 20 hours a week because my daughter had just been born. And my sister invited me to a very expensive mastermind. Well, it was actually a sales event that I almost didn't go to because, again, sales, I was like, I don't want to do this. And I ended up going, and they made an offer to this really expensive mastermind. And that's when, like they say, when the teacher's ready, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. I started following my own mentor at that time, putting systems in place, and I doubled my business every year. And by the third or fourth year, I think it was, working 20 hours a week, I hit 6 figures in revenue, which to me was a huge milestone, because that meant that I was paying myself the same as I paid in corporate, or I surpassed that actually, and working part-time. So other women started asking me, what are you doing? What are your systems? How are you doing this? So that slowly transitioned from teaching branding and how to create a successful brand into business. And then as I've been teaching business in my year-long program in these last couple of years, we've been focusing a couple of the classes on money mindset, and healing our relationship with money, especially as women, because I feel like if you don't have a good relationship with money, it doesn't matter how much money you make. You can have a 7-figure business and then your expenses all keep growing and climbing with your 7-figure business, and you still won't feel in control and secure with what you're doing with your money. So that's how I landed where I'm at right now. I'm just fascinated, curious with our money mindset and our business strategies, and helping women entrepreneurs in particular to just succeed with their businesses. Because if it's proven that if more money is in women's hands, the world will be a better place. So that's just like my mission now. We need to have more money in women's hands.
So, as someone who works with women primarily, what have you personally encountered to be the most common negative mindset around money for women?
Oof, that's a great question. I think the first thing is we blame ourselves a lot. We think it's our fault that we don't know better. We tend to be like, I'm not good with numbers. I'm not good with math. A man is a financial plan. And these are all just beliefs that have been passed down to us. It's been passed down to us by the culture, by our parents, by the media, by our places of worship, by everything that, when the moment you're born, money doesn't mean anything, like you don't have a meaning for money. And psychologists say that our conscious brain does not develop until age 7. So from the moment you're born until 7 years old, you've just been soaking in. That's how they say kids are like sponges. We just soak in all these beliefs about ourselves and how we relate to money. So I'm not good enough. You have to work hard for money. Money doesn't come easy. You're not deserving. There's so many money blocks and beliefs that we have regarding money that we need to detangle. Those are some of the top ones that come to mind that I've seen with most of my clients, that I'm not good enough. I'm not deserving. There's not enough. We do live in an abundant universe. There's plenty and more than enough. It's just knowing how to tap into it. So yes, I could go on and on with those, Francesca.
I'm sure you could. I remember years ago, I went to an event and it was about money mindset, and we were given this questionnaire to answer around our money belief system. And my score around my money beliefs was so horrible to the person sitting next to
Really?
me. It was like, oh, I feel sorry for you. It was so
Oh,
bad. It was so bad. And I felt so deflated. It was like, my goodness, like I could not think of one positive thing around money. And at the same time, I was struggling so much with money. And at the end of that program, when I retook that questionnaire, so much had been deconstructed, and it shifted the way I looked at money. It made all the difference in the world. And for me personally, it was never and has never been about, being like so wealthy that you don't know what to do with the money. It's never been about that. It's been more about, just that peace of mind of knowing that I'm okay. If I need something, I'm going to be okay. I don't have to kind of scramble, because that was kind of one of the beliefs that I grew up with. My parents struggled financially when I was growing up, and money didn't come easy. But also there are all those other associations around money, like you said, the patriarchal structure that some of us have, grew up with. And when I look at my parents, for example, and I look at some of my aunt and uncles, they had very different structures around money, where in one family, the husband worked but gave all his money to the wife, and then the woman just took care of all the expenses. Like, she took care of everything. She was the manager of everything. And then in my family, there are also families where it's the opposite, where the money's the man is the moneymaker still, but the woman has no access to anything. And if she, like, all the shopping is done through him, like he has to be there for every single item. So complete no access to finances. So you have no skills, right? In that kind of situation, you don't have any money skills. So there's so many different ways that we may have been influenced
what a
around money.
clash for you. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, like
what a so
seeing both.
different and opposite ends, right?
Yeah, and for me, like you mentioned, how people feel like some of the mindsets are like were not good with math. That was me. Like I have ADHD. A lot of us with ADHD struggle with math. So that was another component. It's like, I don't understand numbers. And I remember that after that training, I forced myself, because really math was just like my nemesis. I
Uh-huh.
I forced myself to do something I knew I would probably hate, but I forced myself to do it, and I took an accounting course.
Oh my goodness, how did that go?
College level, yeah, college level accounting course. Well, I actually got a B in the course. At the end of the
Nice.
course, I did okay. I won't say it was easy. I really had to work really hard to get that B. I studied really hard, studied a lot, but at the end, I felt like, yeah, I can do it. Like I'm not stupid. Maybe it just takes me a little extra time to learn,
Yes.
because especially if you have ADHD, like we don't absorb information the same way as a neurotypical brain. Sometimes we absorb it super fast, and some things that we don't like, it's a bit of a struggle.
Takes longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you do have the extra layer of insecurity around money because you don't understand, and because you have that difficulty of getting the understanding around it right away. So then you feel
Hmm.
like you're not as brave. You're a lot more insecure around that.
But you brought up a great point though, Francesca. I think it's very important to say that you wanted to learn about it. And you don't have to take it to the extreme of going and taking an accounting class. Like that is just, you are driven, and I give you kudos for anyone that wants to do that. But it's just such a reminder for all of us that no one is born knowing about money, men or women. It's just when men have had more, inclination, because it's been kind of set up for them, like men are the ones that are supposed to learn about business. Men are the ones that are supposed to learn about the finances, for the family and stuff. But when women can learn about finances, like I said, the world will look very different once money comes in hand. There's statistics to say, look, the UN says 95% of women will take their hard-earned income and reinvest it back into society, into their families, their kids' health, the families and society. 95% of women will take their money and reinvest it into that, compared to only 35% of men. So it's just proven that we need to get more women empowered and feeling okay. And if you weren't good at math at school, it's totally fine. This is not algebra or calculus. It's just basic math, of how to invest, percentages, it's basic things that we can all kind of learn with it.
Yeah, I was not suggesting for anybody to go take a course. It's just what I did for myself. I was because I like to challenge myself from time to time. But also, there's another layer there, I think, that I'd like to address, that I think gets missed a lot when it comes to shifting that money mindset and being positive around mindset, especially for women who are in a relationship where they are financially dependent on their partner. It is so important that even if your partner is supporting you, that you have the knowledge on how to support yourself. God forbid something happens. We don't know what that could be. The million scenarios could be happening. You always want to be protected financially. You always want to have that safety blanket to some level. So that's another part that I think gets missed a lot of the times. So it may not necessarily be about, the motivation for someone may not necessarily be about, well, giving back to the economy, making the economy bigger, but maybe it's your own economy. It's for your own safety net, right? So I just wanted to add that to that, because
Yeah.
I think it's such an important topic. And with the work that I do, um, we help a lot of people who are in abusive relationships and get out, and a lot of them stay because they are financially
They feel
dependent.
trapped. You
They
feel
feel trapped.
trapped.
Yeah.
I totally understand this. I feel very fortunate that I'm in a relationship where my husband supports me, and learning about finances. Like he was always very encouraging. And I know of women, clients, friends, family members that have been in relationships where they've asked their partners or spouses, like, oh, can you teach me about the stock market or investing? Like, you don't need to learn those kind of things, so that's kind of like, that's not very empowering or supportive for the women and your life. And if you're a man listening to this, you do want to also support the women that are in your life, because here's the thing, and I think you and I have spoken about this, Francesca. The statistics say, again, they're not the best statistics, but, and I'm not saying them to put fear in anyone's mind, but just for awareness and reality check, 50% of marriages will end up in divorce. If you're one of the lucky ones that's not ending up in divorce, 80% of those women will outlive their spouses. My mother-in-law just lost her husband, my father-in-law, and she's 82. If you haven't learned about finances along the way, whether you're divorcing in your 20s and your 30s and your 50s, or whether you just lost your loved one, your spouse in your 80s, why not want to learn or start having this conversation about money? And like you're saying, Francesca, like setting yourself up for protection of some sort, so that you don't have to do it in a crisis. You don't have to do it in the middle of a nasty divorce. You don't have to do it when you just love the person that you've been spending all of your life with. So you don't have to do it, in these moments of hardship. Like if you're already in an abusive relationship, it is so much harder, to be able to learn about money and to protect yourself. So my invitation, why I share this statistic, which is not the best, is just to shine some light on the realities of life and why it's so important. And I'm so adamant about this for women to learn about finances and really not rely. It's great if you have a partner that supports you within it. And it's not even like financial independence that I'm looking for women. It could be financial interdependence, like interdependence within your relationship. Like, how are you guys managing your finances? I opened up a wealth account where I put money in that's not a combined. It's the only account that I don't have in combination with my husband. And why did I do that? Because if he decides to divorce me at any moment, I don't think it'll happen. We've been together for 23 years. We're happily married. But like you said, Francesca, you just never know what could happen. What are the advantages for him? It's not like this is my account. I put little bits and pieces of money. They used to do it in the old days. The women would stash it underneath the mattresses, the moms, for the kids at school or for an emergency of some sort. And so women, we've always been resourceful like that. So I opened up this account, but he's the beneficiary as well as my daughter. So if I were to die, he's still going to get the money in that account. But if I don't die and some other crazy thing happens, like he decides to leave me or whatever, at least I have a little cushion. I can't tell you how many women I've known, and smart women with high-end degrees. I knew of a woman with 4 kids that the husband thought she was having an affair on him, left her with $20 in her purse, froze all the accounts, and she had no access. And she wasn't living in the same town as the rest of her family. So she couldn't even get support with that. And I've heard this over and over, it's not uncommon. If you think that, oh, well, that wouldn't happen to me, he loves me too much, or this is not the case, we have a different relationship, just be savvy, protect yourself. Like it's the only relationship that you're really going to have from birth to death is with yourself. All the rest of the people that come in and out, parents, spouses, kids, they're temporary. They come, they might be longer periods, shorter periods. So why not, like strengthen that relationship with yourself and give yourself that gift about learning about communities where you can have these kind of conversations, you can learn about it. learning about investing, just starting to become comfortable about this kind of conversation. Because women, we're great at talking, so we might as well not gossip and instead be talking about things that are going to make us flourish and make money and do great things in the world.
You said it, do great things in the world. Even if it's your little world, it's still about making a difference. If I may add to that, still, sometimes there may be somebody listening thinking, yeah, but my partner says will take care of me and I don't have to, that nothing's ever going to happen. And my partner has my back no matter what. My take on this is that unless there is some sort of financial plan in place that if something happens, you're covered. If your partner offers that, great. But if you don't have that cushion, then and your partner is not willing to do that, then your partner does not really have your best interest at heart. So be very aware of that. That is so important because I see this almost every day. I see these situations almost on a daily basis where they've been told, I will take care of you. You don't have to work. You don't have to do this. Fine, great, wonderful. But if something happens, where am I going to be left with? Right. So that's the important part, to make sure you're covered. If you're being forced not to be able to have any access to finances, then how are you covered if something happens? So that's why at the bare minimum, you should have the knowledge how to make that and how to shift that thinking.
And oh my God, we could keep adding. I think we're going to keep adding to the layers of that, Francesca, because one is they can promise you, I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. Well, you first have to listen. Is it a red flag? Like, can you show me how you're taking care of me? Like, do we have a life insurance? Do we have, like what kind of, how are you taking care of me? Like, can I see the actual paperwork? And another way is that they could be saying, I'll take care of you, but they don't know how to take care of you. Like they might not know how to put all these things in place either, as doesn't mean that every man, like I said, no one's born knowing about these things. And it goes for men too. A lot of men learn about these things, but not necessarily. So like Francesca's saying, I think it's important to ask yourself that question, like, oh, so you'll take care of me. How? Like, do we have a savings account together am I a beneficiary on your accounts, whatever accounts they are? Would you feel comfortable if I take out a certain amount of money every month for X, Y, and Z? Like what are your needs? What are his needs? And pay attention to those answers too, because if it's like, oh, no, you don't have to worry about, I'll take care of it. I'm controlling it. And you don't have access to anything. Those are red flags. If on the other hand, they're wanting to empower you and support you because they are really taking care of you. Like my dad, for example, they come from a generation where my mom did work initially, but then it's been many years that my mom hasn't worked. And now my dad's retired. So he really does promise my mom to take care of her. And he means it by proof with action, like here's the accounts. And he's had conversations with me, with my mom, like when he was in corporate, here's my accounts. This is my life insurance. These are the things that are assigned to the home. Like he tries to educate her, to involve her in that situation. That's a man taking care of his woman, of what he's promising. I'll give you another example. For me, when I moved to Spain back in 2005, I left corporate. And so I had to roll over our pension plan into here in the US, it's called a 401k, and you roll it into an IRA. I had no idea what I was doing. I totally abdicated my power to the Citibank guy representative. He invested it all in mostly construction and real estate, like mutual funds. So then the housing market happened in 2008 while I was in Spain. I lived there for 4 years. I came back to the US and I looked at my account and I had lost so much money because I gave my power away. I didn't want to ask questions because I felt stupid. I didn't know what questions to ask. I felt ignorant. And so I was sharing this with my husband when we got back. And I said, I don't know what to do. I have this IRA. And my husband said, why don't you contact our family financial advisor, meaning his family, not me and him as a family. He's like, call him and ask him for stocks with dividends, like a list of stocks with dividends, and you can pick from that. This is how ignorant I was. I didn't even know what a dividend was. So anyone that's listening, just know that whatever place you're at and that you're starting and that everything sounds like jargon, you're not alone. We've all been there at some point. And I made a mistake. I made a mistake of giving away my power, and that's why I lost all that money. But I was willing and I decided that I wanted to take control on it. So here I have a partner that's supporting me, saying, contact a financial advisor, ask him for dividends. So the only person I felt comfortable asking was him, my partner. I was like, what is a dividend? So he was explaining, like it's the company, they give the extra money they make, they give it out every month, you should reinvest it. So at least I felt a little bit more confident going into the financial advisor. Then he gave me a list of stocks. And I felt really empowered because through that list of stocks with dividends, there were many companies that I did not believe in because I worked in the advertising world for many years and I did not want to invest in them. It didn't align with my values. So I picked 5 companies. I invested the money, like I rolled it over into an IRA, and I just watched my money grow throughout the years. And they say that it takes an average of 7 years to double your money. Well, it took in just 10 years, not 7, and 10, I added a 0 to my initial investment, which is huge. I more than doubled it. I almost quadrupled it. And that sense of empowerment in those 10 years, I wasn't even working hard. It was just conversations with the financial advisor. It just kept boosting my confidence, myself, empowerment. And that's what really got me on my journey of wanting to learn more about finances, because I was like, wow, if my money can grow like this in the stock market, I need to learn about other investments in the stock market. I need to learn about crypto. I want to, it just, your curiosity expands. So if you're listening to this, there's 2 lessons in this story. One is have a partner that supports you in wanting to learn all these things. Like my husband now is like, wow, you know more about finances than I do, and he's the one that he was dibbly-dabbling in the stock market. He understood more of these things than I did. And the second lesson is you build your confidence and your relationship with money little by little. There's going to be a lot of things that you don't understand. It's a whole world out here. And they tend to use a lot of jargon like lawyers, so that you feel small and you feel like you can't understand this. But find the right communities, find other women, listen to podcasts like this, where you can start feeling like, or just pick up a book about, it doesn't have to be finances, but like maybe about prosperity and abundance or something, come from more of a spiritual place so that you feel a little bit more comfortable with it. I just had to add that in, Francesca, because I think it's so important for all of us to start feeling more comfortable with the word money, with receiving abundance and prosperity into our lives, and knowing that we have the capacity and the resourcefulness to be able to generate more money and change our situations.
Would you agree with me? I totally agree with you, but would you agree with me, at least from my observation, so I can't say statistically, whichever is the right word. My observation is that most of the women who have issues with money mindset seem to be in my age range, which is, let's just say, above 40, above 50. I'm getting close to my 60s. So, but am I correct? Is that what do you see that?
No, I think it comes ingrained with all of us. I think there's going to be overlaps for 40 plus, because I'm in that group too. There's certain beliefs that have been passed down to us in that generation. And then within each culture, there's even other beliefs that have been passed down. But I don't think the younger kids, like millennials, are exempt from these beliefs. They might be a little bit different, but I think they still have money beliefs, the same as men. Like women might have certain money beliefs, but men also have money beliefs. Like it's not fair that patriarchy, or at least for my upbringing in Spain, there was an unspoken language saying men will take care of you. That's basically what I was brought up with. You will marry a man that'll take care of you. If you're not lucky enough to find the man and marry, either your father or brother will take care of you. And if you don't have a brother or a father, then it'll be an uncle. It'll be a man that's going to help out and take care of you financially. And that's not fair to the men either.
No, it's a lot of pressure.
It is.
It's a
And
lot of
so
pressure.
that's why I don't think that the beliefs are just women. I think there are different beliefs. And it'd be interesting to detangle those beliefs of the 40 plus women and what kind of relationship we have and beliefs with money versus maybe a younger generation.
Well, I know we could be talking about this forever and ever and ever. So do you have any particular before we go? And I know we talked about we're going to have another episode. We're going to talk about something else that is totally unrelated to finances. I don't think it's related, but before we do that other episode, do you have any tips on maybe kind of shifting perspective around the money mindset?
Yes. The first place to start is awareness. And remember that it's not your fault. This has just been passed down to us. And these are just beliefs that we need to question. Like you started at the beginning, Francesca, that you did that questionnaire and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I scored so poorly on my relationship with money. It's just awareness. If you're not aware of it, you can't change it. So the first one is awareness. If you were drawn to listening to this podcast right now, then shine some awareness, pull out a journal, pull out pen and paper and write, what do I believe about money? What was passed down to me? Money doesn't grow on trees. People with money are corrupt. People with money are bad. Money is the root of all evil. Money is fill in the blank, like just keep on filling in the blank. What did my mom think about money? What did my dad think about money? What did my church think about money, or my place of worship? What did my culture think about money? And so start questioning it, so that every time that you have a moment where you have to make a financial decision, whether it's investing in a class or whether it's purchasing a trip or buying something that you desire, getting out of a bad situation, question yourself and say, what do I believe about that? And where does that come from? At what age did I pick that belief, and from who? Did I pick that up from my dad? Did I pick that up from my mom? Because most likely those beliefs, like I said, started from ages 0 to 7. And then from 7 moving on, you just kept trying to find evidence to support that belief. So if your parents divorced because of money issues, and that's all you were observing from the moment you were born until you were 7, then from 7 on, you're going to find proof and evidence of, see, look, that couple just divorced because they're having money issues. Like I know it. That's how it is. I want you to question that. That's the first tip regarding money mindset. And the second one is I want you to, because money mindset is an ongoing thing. It really isn't just a one-stop shop. There's always going to be a new level in your life. You're going to be at a new level and new obstacles are going to show up. And so the next one is, how can you calm yourself down when you have a financial obstacle? You got into too much debt, or you got a bill from the IRS, or you're going through a divorce and you don't even know how you're going to pay the lawyers, or how do I get out of an abusive relationship? I don't even have money right now. I want you to remind yourself, first off, that you're resourceful, that you can figure this out. You've done it in the past. You can do it again. It's just a bigger obstacle, maybe, you know. And then there's other techniques that you can do to calm your nervous system. Like what you want to do is just calm your nervous system from whatever that obstacle is. So you can detach yourself and not feel so much of that fear and anxiety. You can use tapping, you know, EFT. That's a whole other episode. You know, I don't know if any of you are aware of it. You can look up, it's scientifically proven, you know, it calms your nervous system through the different meridians in your body. It's called emotional freedom technique or tapping. You can also do breathing exercises, you know, like go in through breathing, exhales, long exhales and inhales to calm the nervous system so that you can make the right decision as you're facing that big obstacle that you're faced with. I think those would be the starting points. Awareness, know that you're resourceful, you know, as you're coming up with these things, and use some techniques that might work for you regarding how do I calm my nervous system in order to be able to tackle this financial obstacle.
Wow, great tips. Lots of insights. Lots of insights.
Thank you.
So before we go, any last words or anything you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, you know, I was debating what to share. I have a free guide that's called Women's Top Money Mistakes and How to Fix Them. It's women's top money mistakes.com is where you can find them, women's top money mistakes.com. And it's the perfect place to get started on your financial journey, or just like start to feel a little bit more comfortable, like what we've just been talking here, especially now going into, you know, all these headlines and the news, you know, recession and money, and we can't, it's a perfect place to start your journey. I've had hundreds of women download this guide, and I've gotten them to a place where they're not waking up in the middle of the night worrying about money. Because again, when you know that you're resourceful, when a financial crisis hits or an obstacle hits, and that you can solve the problem, then you'll feel more at ease. Again, you know, like if you download the guide, you'll get some tips in it of what you can do. And it's not about budgets. I don't believe in like constraining ourselves. I'm all about expansion, but it's a place to get started as to, oh, what am I doing right? And what can I do better on my relationship with money? Again, it's you can find it at womenstopmoneymistakes.com, and we can put it in the show notes if you want to.
Yes, of course it will be. And thank you so much, Tania. We will continue having a conversation on a completely different topic in the next episode. But thank you so much. So everyone listening, reach out to Tania. What's your actual website? I know that's where the free resource is, but what is your actual website?
thecouragetobehappy.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Tania.
Thank you.